Hello everyone. Today we will be presenting our project titled Variation in the Use of Bat Meat Across Regions and Cultures by Elaine Tackett and Giovanna Bailon.
Now, you might be asking yourself, why do research about bats? Well, it turns out bats are actually hunted across the world, and they are sometimes hunted for food, their perceived medical properties, and for sport.
The reason why we care about bats being hunted is because it directly affects us. As well as we know now, bats are reservoirs for multiple viruses, most popularly COVID, and with humans coming into more contact with bats, there is a higher rate of transmission. This directly affects public health. By hunting bats also, we're threatening the lives of many bat species and hindering bat conservation.
So, the question that we kept asking ourselves is, how prominent are bats being used? What are bats being used for? And this actually helped us formulate our hypothesis that if bats are being hunted across multiple nations, then we expect to see a variety of uses because of the various cultural beliefs.
To conduct this research, we gathered data from scientific literature. In specific, this information was extracted from at least 17 countries. In between those, we have India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Pakistan, Philippines, Indonesia, Madagascar, and Thailand. Once the papers were found and located, we extracted information from them, including if it was used for medicine or food. We wish we could have found more a little bit of why was the use of food. It was because it was daily use, or because of special occasions, or because of religious practices.
As you can see in this bar chart, our y-axis includes the data points we extracted, and the x-axis is for each country we extracted from. We extracted from a total of 17 countries, and for each country, we split them up into the categories of food and medicine, and included how many different data points we had. As you can see, we had more data from India and Indonesia. However, you can see that the overall trend is that we got more data points from the food category.
As we can see in our first pie chart, we have that bats are being used in a 64% as food and a 36% as medicine. Overall, we can conclude that bats are most commonly used for food. In our second chart, we had bat use by land type. We have divided in between islands and mainland. In mainland, the use for food and medicinal are pretty much the same, while when we move to the islands, the source of food is considered more important or is more relevant here, probably because of the location. And then we have the use of bats by region. We have divided as Asia, Africa, and Oceania. In two of these three regions, being Africa and Oceania, food is their mainly use, and this changed a little bit when we moved to Asia, where even though there's a consistent amount of as a source of food, we have an increased amount of use as medicine. No so relevant if we move to Oceania or Africa.
As previously discussed, the overall most common uses for bats were for food, and we were able to see this in Africa, Oceania, and island nations. We also saw that in Asia, the bat was predominantly used for medicine, and we also saw in island nations, the distribution was relatively equal. And this is very interesting to us. However, our research did have some limitations, such as we only used data points from scientific literature. And we can combat this by adding more direct studies into it so we have on-ground confirmation of what they use the bats for. We also had no specification in the categories, so nothing differentiating food, if it was daily food or special occasions, or for medicine. And actually, there's another project, Project A69, that goes into more depth about the medical properties of bats.
By quantifying the reasons why bats are being hunted, we can specifically tailor conservation efforts. We can also try to find substitutes for the uses of bats, such as providing medicinal care to the regions where they use it as a medicine, provide different sources of food, or even redirect the people's focus who use bats for sport.
We would like to cite the photos that were used within these slides as Issam Zazar's, and we would like to extend a thank you to Dr. Tyga Kingston, Abby Routreau, Nikki Lauder, and Gabby Santana Lambo.
Thank you so much for attending to our presentation. Hopefully our research has raised your curiosity, and if you have any questions, don't doubt to contact us through our emails.